Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another live stream interview thing. And I'm going to pop our guest on the screen right now. There he is. Brian is joining us all the way from Port Shepstone. And good evening to all of you. Good evening, Brian. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me, Gideon, and hi to everybody watching.
There's lots of the usuals are all here. So Brian is also a gun guy. We were a bit naughty. We had a bit of an off-stream chat while you guys were all waiting for us to start. So I could just get a bit of background because, to be honest, this is the first time I'm actually talking to Brian. I think this is the first time you're talking to me as well. So,
Yeah.
so Brian, you are actually a gun owner. Tell us a little bit about what have you got? How long have you had it?
I've got a Glock 19 Gen 5. I've had it for just over a year now. Um,
Awesome.
well, it's my first gun, but in the family, my dad also has his own a pistol, which is a Beretta, a 92. So from
The
time to
old school Boondock Saints one
yeah, the
that
old
we all know.
school, yeah. But I mean, it's huge and heavy. He hardly carries it. Sits in the safe all day, you know. So when I decided to get a gun, I just did a bit of research first because I wanted something that I could carry every day, you know. So it had to be a good like, compromise between like capacity as well as concealability. But you know what? Like I didn't. On some days, even my 19 feels too big, so I'm looking for something else now, something a bit smaller that I can like conceal for those days that I'm just lazy.
Yeah, you mentioned getting a second one because the importance of having two handguns, I don't think, is lost on anybody. But which is the second one you're looking at the moment? Because I used to
Um,
carry a USP full size before I got a Glock 19, so I can fully
yeah,
understand the need to go smaller.
yeah. Actually, it was down to like three options when I first like, decided to get a second firearm. First was the Glock 26 or this new CZ P10S or the Glock 43. So what I found with the 26 is that you know it's not that much smaller than my 19 like in terms of width. So then I looked at the P10C and that was just about the same size as my 19. It's just a little bit shorter. So it defeated the whole purpose. So the 43 fits you know that role perfectly. But now there's also that CZ P10M. So now that's just thrown a span in the works.
So,
So
so, so what you're doing essentially now is you're appeasing both the Glock and the CZ schools here.
you know
Well,
what?
look, if
Yeah,
it works, it works.
yeah. If it works, it works. I mean, like both brands, they're good brands, well supported. So I think you know if I had to come down to the wire, I'd probably go with the CZ right now. But the Glock, you know, I'm a Glock guy, I guess, you know, and I've got a
And the
Glock.
40, yeah, the 43 is hot. It's a really cool
The,
little
fo-
pistol.
it is, but you should see the P10M as well. It's something else, you know.
I've never seen one. I've never actually, to be honest with you, seen one. I'll go
Mm,
take a look just for interest sake,
mm,
but because I need to also get where you're coming from because it's clearly something to it that's attracting you to it. Is it
yeah.
what about it? Is it just you talk to the audience? I'm going to Google it because I don't even know what this. It's a P10. What C
P10M, P10
P10M?
Micro. Yeah, P10 Micro.
I've never
Um,
seen. Oh, it's tiny.
yeah, it's actually a 7+1 as opposed to the Glock 6+1. And for me, the capacity, you know, is quite important, even though I'm looking for something a lot smaller than my 19. But if I could get maybe one more or two more bullets in there, then I'm happy. So
Yeah.
right now the P10's got that
Well,
advantage.
I'm sure the audience is going to scream suggestions at you from the side. That's what we do.
Yeah, how it
Uh,
feels in the hand. No. Yeah, no, that's
well, Damien mentioned something about he bought a Glock 17. Um, but as long as you carry something, he's happy. And I'm actually like, I've got two Glock 19s. I would love a Glock 17. I think the full size service pistol thing is pretty cool. Although for
mm,
you, your daily work routine I don't know what challenges you face for concealing at work at the moment. Sort of what, just take us a little bit through it. Like what is your daily routine kind of involve?
Okay, luckily, even though I'm pretty much office based, but I would say 364 days in a year, you'll find me in my shorts and the t-shirt and my flops. That's like 364 days in a year. But there are those days, when I just feel
Yeah,
like,
you coastal guys do stuff differently to the rest of us.
yeah, even because if I'm at the office, I'll be wearing my flops or maybe my tackies. If I'm going on site, then I throw on my boots and then I'm good to go.
Okay.
So, oh, I saw somebody there. He put up a comment about like getting a Glock 17.
Yeah, that was Damien. Yeah,
Yeah,
we.
I was actually looking at that, but there was a Glock 17, like Gen 3, on special, a ridiculous price some time ago. I've got a micro that I use with my 19.
Ooh, that's
So yeah, so I wanted something that'll maybe stay in the macaroni, and then I can carry my other pistol, as and when I want to. But something just to stay in the macaroni. I think the 17 would be perfect for that.
I
But
was
like to carry
actually.
every, sorry,
You need to tell me about your Roni, because I want to do a review on a Roni
mm,
around about next week or the week after, because there's new stock coming in and I get to play with one.
okay,
And I'll give my opinion on it in a bit, because I think
yeah,
I first want to hear from you as an actual owner and user of a Roni. Like, how do you find it? Firstly, what do you have on it at the moment? I don't know if you can show it to us, because it might require you to go and fetch it, and that might be a unnecessary pain in the ass. But maybe just tell us about it.
okay. It'll take me 2 seconds to get it. It's
Okay,
just
okay,
yeah,
maybe get it. Now I can just tell the audience what my thoughts are on the Ronnie in the
okay,
meantime while you're away. Okay, so for a long time, I actually I wasn't really anti Ronnie. I just thought, for the price that you pay for the thing, is it really worth having? You could really get like a cheap SLR semi-auto rifle for the same price, or not for much more. Why would you spend this kind of money on it? Here we go. That was really fast.
yeah,
That was really quick. So to
yeah,
summarize, I was just saying, for a long time, I couldn't actually. I was like, I didn't really see the point to a Ronnie because of how the price attached to it. And then I realized, in this post-lockdown world, and if you read stuff from like Selco and from the other survivalist Argentinian guy who I actually had an interview with, like literally a month ago, Fernando Ferfel, you can't leave a semi-auto rifle in your car, but you can leave your Ronnie in your boot quite happily
yeah,
legally, and
mm,
it gives you the capacity to turn your pistol into a carbine. Well, pseudo carbine,
yeah,
quite quickly. So show
yeah.
us what you've got on that thing, dude.
Okay, right now the pistol is not in it. It's just the frame. This is it. I'm actually looking at getting a red dot on it, as well as like a weapon mounted like light here on the side. But for now, I've just got these like pop-up sights
That's,
that I use. I don't know if you can see it.
yeah,
Can,
you can pull it. You can pull it a bit to your left, and then we'll see more of it.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's
that's it.
perfect.
So this is the CAA macaroni. Yeah, I still have these pop-up sites, but soon I'll be getting a red dot as well as a light mounted on it.
You,
So
you,
I've
you
also
know
got
that
a yeah.
that's really awesome. Actually, sorry, carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, no problem. I've also got that this 33 round mag that I use if I've got my pistol in here. I'm using the 33 round mag.
Oh,
I've
so
got
you
one of
got a happy
those.
stick.
Yeah, I've got a happy stick. I've got a happy stick.
Mm.
Actually, what I found, you know what? I'm not really an experienced shooter. I'm still learning. But what I found is that I'm much more accurate with this, and especially with
Yeah,
like rapid shots because it's so much more stable. If you've got the stock out and it's against my shoulder,
yeah, yeah.
the
You've got
gun is really, really stable.
you've now got 3 points of contact instead of just one. In the sense, if you've got
Yeah,
it shoulder, you've got it with the cheek weld, you've
yeah,
got a support hand and a gun hand in separate
yeah.
parts of it. That's pretty awesome. And
Mm,
what I like about it, we can talk red dots in a moment, because there's so bloody many of the things.
mm,
what I like about it, you can take that, you can dump it in the boot of your car. It's
Yeah.
legal,
Yeah.
and or the passenger seat or wherever you want it or need it, and it's good to go.
Mm.
I had to look at red dots for my my M4A1 carbine,
Yeah.
and at the time I was looking at the aim point versions because I still had money in a job back then. Right now money and jobs are scarce.
Yeah.
Um, and I settled on an aim point PRO, the patrol rifle optic, because that was the most cost effective option and it's a really decent aim point.
Yes.
But Vector's got really cool stuff out at the moment. Sorry, Vortex has got really cool red dot
Mm.
optics out, and they're very cost effective. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff out there. That I'm really, I'm not really well versed in. What have you been looking at any specifics?
Not really. The time that I collected this Roni, there were a few at the gun shop that I saw, but I haven't actually done like research exactly, which one would fit my budget and which one would work best for me. But I think maybe when I'm ready for that, like financially as well, then
Yeah.
I'll start looking into it. Yeah, yeah. Then I'll start looking into that.
Well, Conrad actually mentions Hollow Sun are great. I've heard really good things about Hollow Sun
Mm.
as pretty cost-effective red dot optics. But I mean, guys, in the comments, this is sorry, I've just got so many people popping up. I just want to answer Daniel quickly. I just want to
Okay.
have a chat with you. Point of view, what is the best way to go about getting a license? Daniel, send me an email. Because I'm really bad with Facebook comments and I'm interrupting poor Brian at the moment, but I'll just put my email on the screen and just send me an email there and we'll I'll get in comms with you and I can help you as best I can because I know Daniel's also in the Cape. So Hassan actually asked a question that if you use the Ronnie, there would be a problem. In all honesty, I cannot. It'll only be a problem if the police officer on scene is really stupid. But there's no legal inhibitor for you to
Yeah.
use the Ronnie defensively, like none at all. So you don't have to worry. I don't have to worry. None of us really has to worry. But that's a
Yeah.
really cool piece of kit. So how long have you had
Mm.
it?
I've had it probably for about maybe 6 months now, but I haven't really gotten much like use out of it. It's like things have just been hectic, especially for the last couple of months. Nobody's been doing anything. So hopefully, once like things are back to normal, I'll be able to get back at the range and yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Mm.
major thing. There's ranges opening. There are ranges who aren't opening. I think I found an
Mm.
open range that's open to the public, and I'm going to
Okay.
go there next week. I don't know if there are any
Yeah.
around your side. You're in Port Shepstone, so
Yeah.
I can't imagine you're inundated with shooting facilities, although there should be some, surely.
Yeah. There's like three around my area. Yeah. There's one. Well, ones that I know of. There's one indoor and two outdoor ranges, but I think they're currently closed though.
Yeah,
So
or they're
right
only open
now,
to security personnel, which is a bit of
yes,
a.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Mm.
yes, yes.
You see, Caroline, who's in our comment section, is from Georgia. I can't remember if she's from Atlanta, and they don't have our problems. So where is she now? I found a thing about she made a comment about open carry being not a problem. So you can quite happily shuttle around there with your AR-15, and you don't have to. Yeah, um, you don't worry about concealed carry, but it's the preferred method in Georgia.
Yeah,
But for us South African proletarians, the Ronnie is actually a pretty neat piece of kit. And you could probably get a sling for that thing. That's what's that one point
yes, yes,
attachment
yes.
that you can
Yeah,
just let it dangle if you need to.
yes, yes. There is actually. Just before lockdown, I was at the gun shop and I had a look at it. So probably once I get some time, I'll get a sling for it as well because it's a bit of a schlep, like carrying it around if I'm at the range. If I can just
If you
have
can
it in a
just drop
sling.
it and it hangs, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no, I'll be getting that soon.
No, but you seem waxed, dude. You've got the Ronnie, you've got the Happy Stick for it. You're looking at red dot optic options. I think you're a for away. So, how did you get into the whole gun? What was the turning point for you that made you decide, you want to get a firearm? Was there a specific event or was it a slow process of thought?
It's actually it's something that I thought about, like sometimes it would just pop into my mind, like, because as you get older, you have a family, you have your own house, and then it's actually their safety becomes your responsibility.
Yeah.
when I was staying with my parents, that was my dad's responsibility because if something went bang or something, broke outside, my dad would be out. Now the responsibility has passed on to me. So I thought maybe like for me to be able to like effectively to feed myself or my kids, the best option would be to get a firearm. So one day I decided, let me just like do my competency. I did that, and then actually, like before that, I wasn't a gun guy at all. I'd heard of Glock. I knew there's a brand like Glock, but I wasn't really much into guns. The only gun that I'd ever been, like exposed to really was my dad's. So it's only once I started meeting other people who are into guns, then I started going crazy. Like I made up for all the years that I wasn't a gun guy, and
It
yeah,
sounds like we have almost the same story, dude. But yeah,
yeah.
it's exactly like that. It's a bug that bites you. It's a weird thing, and then all of a sudden
Mm,
your life changes and your outlook on a lot of things just goes out the window. But it
mm,
is, in essence, it's as you said, it's a tool that enhances your ability to take responsibility for your safety and the people you're responsible for. And
yes,
Brian, another Brian, who I'm also talking to tomorrow, Brian Many came up with a thing
yes,
where
yes.
I don't know if it was his thing, but he brought it up to me and he said, mindset leads, training feeds, and equipment follows. And I've quite been into just
Mm,
constantly, going back to that because that is so bloody true. But without the equipment, you have a much harder time. And
exactly.
I think there's this thing in your head that says, okay, if I had a firearm, my ability to project force is a
Mm,
lot better. And I
yeah,
don't know if it was Brian's in the comments. He said it is his thing. Okay, cool. We'll claim it, Brian. Um,
yeah.
so from that aspect, like congratulations on making that decision because a lot of people struggle to like guns are a difficult almost inaccessible thing. And I don't know if it felt like
Mm.
that to you at any point or if it was just something you didn't really think about up until that time.
Gideon, when I first started like the journey, like doing my competency, the waiting, the paperwork, I just didn't understand why it was necessary to jump through all those hoops, to be able to get a firearm. I understand like getting a competency, like being declared like competent to own a firearm. And then I would just buy a firearm and have it registered under my name. Like instead of doing this whole licensing each firearm story. I mean, to me, it just makes no sense, So I think it's just hoops that they've placed in our way so that we just give up and say, you know what, this is too much of a schlep. I'm not doing it because I mean there is an agenda of like disarming the population. I mean it's quite clear now. So I decided I'll stick it out. It took me just over a year probably from start to finish, but
Awesome.
I stuck it out. And I'll do it again soon because I made a mistake actually, and I just did one competency. Like for a fire for
Don't
like a
worry.
handgun.
I made the same mistake, dude. Don't worry. I did the exact
Yeah.
same thing.
So now, even though I can get like a pistol, no problem, but I'm also looking at getting something else like down the line, maybe some sort of rifle,
Oh,
So
absolutely.
so
Absolutely. You need
so
to. You
now
need one of those.
yeah, so now that means I need to go through that process again, the competency and all of that. Actually, to be quite honest, I don't know how possible it will be, maybe in the next 2 years or so, like the way things are going now, nobody knows. Maybe next year we'll wake up one day and we can't own guns anymore, We're hoping it doesn't come to that, but anything is possible.
Dude, I reckon we will because I'll tell you what, as long as we've got people like you who start and be from nothing and become a part of the community and the fraternity, it's something that you start caring very much about, especially from the outset. You saw how senseless it was, and I think
Yeah,
the only reason laws like ours exist in the first place is because the public consciousness about the stupidity of it hasn't reached the type of critical mass yet. Um, I had a conversation today with someone, I think, on the wall of the Facebook page. God, I'm such a boomer. No one calls it a wall anymore. It's like a newsfeed now. But anyway,
yeah,
um, but about you can't win this fight in the courts of justice. It's a fight
Yeah,
that you have to win in the court of public opinion, because
yeah,
whatever the public opinion favors, that's the direction the politicians will take, because they're like a
mm,
weathercock. They
yeah,
get blown into the
mm,
path of least resistance. And the more people who stand up and say, what, farm ownership is important, it should be a fundamental right, and we think this is complete bullshit, that's the sort of stuff that's eventually going to sway it. So, I mean, okay, you're a gun owner now. Do you have a
mm.
fair amount of friends that are owning guns yet, or are there some that are looking and interested? Because if they're looking and interested, this is where you can make a big difference.
Yeah. I've got a few friends that already had firearms, but I would say the majority of them, no, they don't. And a lot of guys, if like close friends of mine, once
Yep.
like they know that I've got a firearm, they'd ask to see it and make it safe, and then they're like, what, I need to get mine, and then
Yeah,
once I've left the room, the hype goes. But there are some guys, like very close friends of mine, that I'm assisting through the processes, like of getting a firearm. So probably about like say like 4 or 5 guys that currently that are looking at getting, and they've already started with the competency. They're waiting their like approvals. One
that's
guy, he's just
awesome.
waiting for, one chap is waiting for like approval of his license. I swayed him towards the clock 26.
Dude, that's awesome. Like
Yeah,
4 or 5 people in your friendship group
yeah,
going, actually
yeah,
committing and doing it. That's a big
mm,
win. Like, if I
yeah,
can convince 5 people in my immediate circle to actually go out there and do it, I'd consider that a major, major win. Okay,
yeah,
it doesn't help that a lot of my friends are already gun owners, but still,
mm,
that's a big deal. And I think
mm,
if more of us, I don't know which one of the Paratus admins put that up, but awesome ambassador for farm owners. So you're already doing great stuff. And Brian actually had a thing, start a trading collective in your friendship group. So this is a thing where you get together with your mates, take your guns, take your Ronnie, even if they're still waiting for these, let them contribute to ammunition costs and wear and
mm,
tear, and go and set up a course of fire to try and achieve a specific objective while at the same time being fun. So it's a training thing with a bit of a competitive fun element to it, and go out there and do it for the day or the morning. And as Brian says, it's a huge team building and bond building experience. And this is the sort of stuff him and I do regularly. So if you
mm.
want ideas or a bit of how to do it or how to start it, like, reach out, and I'm more than happy. I'll even explain on the stream with him what some of the stuff is that we do. But
Yeah,
that's a great idea. Oh, and use spray paint. Like, we use a lot of spray paint in the stuff that we do: spray paint and balloons and funny things,
yeah,
and
yes, yeah,
bowling ball pins. But
mm, yeah.
that's one way. So
Mm.
I don't know if you had the opportunity to do anything like that, Brian, yet, but or if you're looking at some gun sports at the moment.
I haven't really thought about it like, in that way, but what I've been doing now is I've got 3 sisters.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
so
Okay.
yeah. So, what I wanted to do is I actually want each of them to get a firearm. Because the way things
Yes.
are out there. So we were just talking the other day that we need to go to the range. With my firearm, maybe like together with a friend of mine that owns a firearm as well, just to teach them the basics. Like get the feel for it, and then just assist them through the process. So I think that's really my starting point now. Like trying to get the word out there. You know
Dude,
what they say about charity being the beginning at home. So yeah, yeah,
exactly. No, I'm with Brian on this one as well. If you got 3 sisters and you can get
yeah,
all of them armed, dude, you're doing more for female empowerment and fighting against rapists and muggers than any
mm,
sort of hashtag all men are trash movement could ever hope to achieve. That is
yeah,
a this is something also tell people, like, rapists and muggers are just like everyone else. They bleed when shot.
yes,
So, they're people. You can stop it. So flipping awesome work, dude. Like, you've
yeah,
already got 5 mates who are doing it, and you get taking your 3 sisters. And in all honesty, if we can help in any way with this, and in fact
mm,
the entire community can help, and if anyone else out there is watching this and you want us to help, then please reach out and we will. Because there was a thing in I think on Gosa a while back where we said each one teach one. And what you're
yes,
busy
yes,
doing is
yes.
you're teaching 3 already. So you're
Yeah,
already
yeah,
a 3-for-1 special just there. And
yeah.
Beth really likes what you're doing, by the way. absolutely get them armed, as does Lindy. So dude, excellent stuff. All right, so you're getting your sisters armed, you're getting your friends armed, you're looking at gun sports. You're definitely full blown in here. So with the South African context of farm rights and civil liberties,
Yes.
is there anything specific that if you had the power to change it tomorrow that you would? Let's make it very difficult. One thing. Is there one thing you could change? What would, with regards to this, what would it be?
Um, Gideon, let's be honest, I haven't actually thought that far, but the
No, you
biggest,
can make up anything you want.
okay, so like basically how to improve like
Yep.
firearm ownership is just remove all the red tape. The story of licensing each firearm, it's like for me, it's just nonsense. It just makes it more difficult for us to like to access firearms. I mean, we're not criminals. We are law-abiding citizens. So if I have one gun or 10 guns, it's not gonna make a difference. Like 10 guns will not turn me into uh, a mad killer or something like that.
No.
So if I could change that, that's probably it. The red tape, just removing all the obstacles along the path, like to owning a legal firearm. That'll be my first step. Yeah.
So almost like license the person, not the gun. You're the
Exactly.
holder, and you
Yeah.
can own what you want. And
I mean, I've got a driver's license. If I want to buy a car, I can buy 10 cars tomorrow. I don't need to get a license for each vehicle. I've got one license. I can own 10 cars. It should be the same for firearms. As long as that person is fit and proper, and they're competent, there shouldn't be a problem.
dude, how long have you said you've owned guns?
Just over a year now. Just
Just
over a
over a
year.
year. You've owned a
Yeah.
gun just over a year, and you
Mm.
already understand this stuff better than some guys that have been gun owners for 20 years, and they still come up with like, no, we need this restriction or that. We call them FUDs, just FYI to the audience.
Yeah, yeah.
And you get this shit straight off the bat, and that's the whole thing. By the way, Brian reckons, don't listen to me about rifles. Your next after your next handgun, buy a shotgun. He's a big shotgun guy.
Actually, there was a shotgun that I almost put down a deposit on not too long ago. But then I thought, nah, let me rather like divert those funds to my next handgun because I don't even have like competency for it yet.
Okay, but
So
what were you looking at the time?
it was I'm not sure of the model, but it's a Winchester rifle though that we had. I mean, a shotgun that we had at our local gun shop. I can't
Was it a
recall
pump?
the exact
Was it
model.
a pump action or
It
a
was a pump
semi-auto?
action. No, it was a pump action. It was a pump
Okay,
action.
yeah.
It was
No,
a
we
pump
like
action.
pump actions.
Yeah. I've seen the semi-autos, they sound good on paper, but what I've read about them is that they're not really like reliable, and I'm not sure how true that is. I think probably when I'm ready to get one, I'll probably, like research more about it. But like for now, I'd rather go with the pump action.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are. Look, it's yes and no.
Mm.
Like that discussion. If we open that can of worms, we're going to be here for 3 hours, and people are going to scream different opinions at us because
Yeah.
when I was still a very active IPSC shooter, you see a lot of semi-auto problems that
Mm.
guys with pump actions just didn't have. And
Yeah.
I've seen a guy with a pump action shoot his pump action shotgun faster than a guy with a semi-auto shoots his. So
Mm.
it's obviously Brian says Mossbergs are better than Winchesters. There's merit in this. Having done a shotgun course with Brian, with my Winchester and him with his Mossberg, and having swapped shotguns, I will concede. But
Mm.
pump actions are awesome, dude. There is something about if a pump action jams or has some sort of failure, you can fix 90% of those problems by just pumping it harder. And I
Yes.
don't mean that in a dirty way, but that generally you can fix most problems with physical force. So,
Yes.
so no,
Yes.
dude, pump actions are awesome. 12 gauge, you can't go wrong with those.
Mm.
So maybe after you have gotten your second handgun, once you figure out what it is,
Mm.
go get that Winnie or go look at a Mossberg. But yeah, I see we're
Yeah.
gonna have you back on the show. I really like your taste in guns and stuff already. It's the fact that you actually see the problems in the system.
Mm.
Um, So Second Amendment, you'd be okay if we had that
The right to bear arms.
to keep and bear arms. That's the one.
I think probably, that's what we were talking about, but just using like different language, really.
Exactly.
You know, as long as the person is fit and proper, I don't see a problem with it. Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's about the long and the short of it. So now all
Mm.
we need to do is we need to figure out what optic you need to put on that that Ronnie of yours. So,
The run, yeah,
um,
yeah.
which is an awesome buy. I'm really chuffed you managed to show it to us.
Mm.
So the firearm amnesty, this is something I don't really like talking about because there's so much misinformation about it. I see it hasn't been approved. So
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
they failed to follow correct parliamentary process on getting it
Mm.
getting it extended, which
Yes.
doesn't surprise us because they failed several times on getting a first one even in.
Yeah.
Um, and now we've got a situation where the lockdown is being extended, and the appeal against the fact that everything was declared unconstitutional. We do seem to have a delinquent government that appeals good rulings, then fail to fix the problem on the ground, and
Mm.
people aren't getting angry. So where you are right now in Port Shepstone, what is what are the emotions that you see on your day-to-day movements from people? Like how have you taken lockdown so far, and how are people around you handling it?
Gideon, right now, lockdown sounds like a rumor. You know, you know, everything is back to normal. I think people have just gone fed up. Like people have forced their way back to their old lives. So I think lockdown just exists now on paper, really. We're back to our old lives. So we're tired of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, no one's really complying anymore.
No, no,
It's
no.
actually a thing of the past. Except Zach brings up a good point. Gun Free South Africa is now going after booze. They have some huge issue now with the sale of alcohol being back on the cards, and I'm kind of surprised it took them this long. I think I
Mm.
referred to them as a bunch of Puritan virgins who've got nothing better to do with their time than go after stuff that we enjoy. But I always thought it would have been a natural progression for these people to go after alcohol next because they're not really interested in solving behavioral
Yeah,
problems. They're
yeah,
interested in
yeah,
addressing issues by
yeah,
prohibiting substances or
yeah.
devices.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if look, have you had many run-ins with these wonderful people or not really all that many?
I actually haven't had any incident, again, to be honest, and I've never been stopped at any roadblock. I've never had any incident at all. I've had some friends that have been stopped, but okay, a disclaimer: people that
Okay.
I know, not
People
not
that you know,
friends,
okay.
people that I know from around the area that have gotten off like 50 rands, maybe driving after like curfew hours. Actually, the vehicle will pull like a U-turn on the road and chase after them, ask them, where are you going? It's after curfew. Give us the 50 rand and we'll let you be on your way.
Yeah.
So that's what most people actually in our area have been experiencing. So this lockdown, I don't actually think that any good really came out of it. Maybe the idea, like Aiden, I think this is where like you and I would disagree a bit because what, as much as I don't agree with the way they went about,
Mm.
implementing regulations, like some of them are actually quite stupid. But the truth is that, um, okay, let me put it this way: like Corona is here, you
It is,
know,
yeah.
it is here. We found that out like through testing. We've picked up that there is corona, but I think the way that they could have addressed it might have been different. I think they should have addressed it in a different manner. Because what I don't agree with, I agree with the need, to preserve life. I
Yep.
agree with the need to, but there has to be a balance struck between like protecting lives and protecting people's livelihoods and all that. And I don't agree with how they went about it because some of the regulations they make no sense. So those stupid regulations, actually make it seem as if this whole thing was a joke. whereas it actually really was like a serious matter. So I think maybe a bit
yeah.
more like consultation from the start with the people. They probably could have, like done better.
Well, look, if they treated it, for example, let's say they treated it like a public healthcare issue or a public
Mm,
health issue, whatever, versus a society, a weird sort of societal problem where we go,
yes,
okay, um, I think if it's stuck to a 21-day lockdown, I would struggle to convince people that my anti-lockdown position was right, because people would still be, there would still be an economy to return to a degree, and
yes,
it wouldn't have been such a heavy blow,
yes,
and the government could kind of would have walked away from it being semi heroic and saying
yeah,
we put your health interest first, and
mm,
we were all willing to make these small sacrifices. They probably would have gotten away with it, and then
yeah,
something went horribly wrong somewhere, and they decided, hang on, we can just carry on with this perpetually, because now we've got, okay, we call it a state of disaster. That's now
mm,
another month longer. I'm like, but where is the disaster? I mean, I can see the economic
yeah,
disaster, but I can't
yeah,
see the other disaster with the dead bodies in the streets and the zombies. Um,
mm.
your firm, I think we talked about it offline. Well, most firms, how long were you guys shut down for?
From the 27th of March, that's when the lockdown started, and we haven't been on site since then. We're actually just today. We're supposed to have an inspection with the Department of Transport, just to like, confirm that all our like COVID-19 countermeasures, they're in place and they comply. Yeah, so I think probably next week we're back on site. So from the
Okay, so
27th to
that's
now,
that's a
we've been working.
that's a good 2.5 months, just like
Yes,
productivity gone.
yes,
And I think that's the thing, and a hell of a lot of people are feeling it. But
mm,
I mean, we're going back to work. There is a definite atmosphere of optimism that's tangible. You
yeah,
can feel it,
mm,
and we haven't quite. I think end of June maybe. A lot of people will either see reduced paychecks or no paychecks, and then the sentiment might turn again a little bit. But
yeah.
I don't understand why firstly we're extending the state of disaster, and secondly why we're appealing the rulings, because you guys are back at work. You need to get back on site. You need to earn money for your shotgun and for your red dot, and and probably a whole bunch of other things.
Mm.
And we're still sitting there. I don't know if you watched what was going on earlier this evening. I mean, you work like a normal person. You don't sit like me. But did you check the whole government briefing out by any chance?
No, no, no. Actually, I just got in the house just before 7 today, so I didn't get a chance to watch. No, I haven't.
Okay, no,
I think
I only
catch up
watched.
after this chat.
Yeah, look, there's not much to catch up on. It was
Mm,
cancerous to watch. It was this afternoon, I think, at like 4 o'clock.
okay.
It was just abysmal. But
Mm,
there's no plan. And look, at least with you guys, you're going back on site. There is some sort
yeah.
of return. But from Port Shepstone side, why does can you see economic consequences already in the street, or not really?
Um, Gideon, our our town has been in a state of decline for some time now, because like Poughkeepsie is actually right next to Margate. I'm sure you've heard of Margate before, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Like Margate is like a holiday destination, and the past couple of years, the people have been complaining that they're seeing less and less tourists. Shops are closing up. Just the other day, I took a drive into the Margate CBD. The amount of shops closed down, it's scary. And they closed down during this period of lockdown because I think they realized that they have no more fight left.
Yeah.
This will now just bury them. So they decided to close up shop. I mean, I'd say probably a good like 30% like vacancy rate. I mean, that's scary if
That's heavy.
you think about it. That's really scary. Probably like every like third shop vacant.
No, dude,
So
that's yeah, and you don't, and that's done. That's not
yeah,
like, oh, we're going to start up again. That's
no,
a
no,
shop that's not coming back, and I think that's yeah,
yeah.
that's the really depressing part of it. But
Yeah. And the sad part is that I think each job in SA supports like 7 or 8 people. So if a business had 5 people, working for him. That's like how many people now? That's like 40 people out of work, So, I mean, out of an income to sustain them. So, yeah, it's a heavy
That's the
toll,
income earner and their dependents, like
Yeah, 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 yeah,
practically in the street with just a delay,
yeah,
and it's absolutely crazy. And I think, yeah, we're about to enter the storm, but
yeah.
I don't want to end a discussion on a negative note. I want to end a discussion on a positive, because I think people have had too many negative stuff
Yes, yes, yes,
going
yes,
on. So the
yes,
cool thing is you've done astoundingly good work with 5 mates getting the competencies and your 3 sisters that you're doing on.
yes,
And I think, um, from a resource point of view, Paratus needs to, maybe we need to up our game a bit in how we help people,
yes, yes.
get certain activities out there or ideas to try and make it fun. So, Brian, I'm going to send you my number in
Okay.
the Facebook Messenger, and I'm going to put you in contact with other Brian as well. And we will also put together a thing to put on the page, just to give people some ideas to go out there and have a day at the range. So it's going to be fun, as well as get your skill set trained, right? So
Yes, yes,
when you
yes.
walk away from it, you haven't mag dumped 30 rounds,
Mm,
because ammunition's more expensive. It's not going to get
mm,
cheaper, but that
yeah,
you've got out there, you've done something meaningful, and you've achieved it.
yes, yes,
So uh, I don't
yes.
know if that would be of any assistance to you. If you do, you have any sort of final thoughts for us about some stuff that you've learned on your journey becoming a farm owner, the stuff that you've done to help people and get them involved? Anything that sticks out to you specifically, experience or story or anything?
You need patience by the truckloads.
Yeah,
You see, you need patience by the truckloads. One thing, like getting that, I know it sounds cliched, but like besides, like regarding the process of actually getting the firearm, but it's actually helped me as a person as well. It really helped. I mean, I've got a very short temper, you know. I've I've I've
you
I've
shouldn't
got a
say the
very
stuff online where people could take it out of context, but
Yeah, no, no,
okay.
no. The thing is, I've actually always been easy to like tick off, but once I started carrying my firearm, and knowing, just how easy like things can escalate and get out of hand. I found myself, like before, something that would trigger me, now I just smile and wave, because I mean I recognize that it's not going to be worth all the trouble that can
Yeah.
actually ensue from whatever could happen now. So like for me that's been a huge plus, and that translates to a lot of other like areas of my life as well, so guns are not just being about like John Wick or Rambo.
Yeah.
They actually humble you, they teach you humility, how to get along with other people as well. And I mean that's like, to me, that's the best part about it.
You understand the responsibility that comes with the
Mm,
power that you have on
mm,
your hip, and
mm,
the power to project lethal force. And Brian, that's an awesome
yeah,
lesson. I actually dig that, and that's a
yeah.
really awesome way to end this discussion. It's been fantastic having you on. I'd like to do another one about shotguns with you
Yeah,
and
yeah.
red dots and all this stuff. And thank you
Mm,
to everyone in the comment section. I've read everything. I can't respond to everything because Brian and I are actually having a nice talk. I will do a
mm,
standalone live stream again, but there's some really good suggestions from the side about shooting days and videos we should make and guides. But if we can help you help more people get on, Brian, please get
yes.
in. Like, I will give you my contact details. I think you are an awesome guy to have on the East Coast. I can link you up with more awesome people on the East Coast, and I think it can be a good time for everyone involved, and it could really achieve something. So
Um,
you are one of the more sensible people I've spoken to.
that would
Thank
be
you.
great. And thank you very much for having me as well.
It's an absolute pleasure. And don't leave yet. I'll chat to
Okay,
you off the line, but I'm going to
no
say
problem.
cheers to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you guys tomorrow when I speak to other Brian for Whiskey Friday at 3 p.m. And if you're at work and you miss it, don't worry, it'll record and it'll be up there. So baie dankie, goeienaand, good evening, and tot ziens. And now I sound like SAA. Cheers.